What's going on, guys? Welcome to an interview edition of Learn Crypto. Today I have Canen from the Vertcoin marketing team. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Nick. How are you?
Pretty good. This is kind of a follow-up interview. If you guys wanted more of a technical view on the Vertcoin, make sure to check out the interview I did with James Lovejoy, who is the lead developer of Vertcoin. That is in the interview section on our YouTube homepage. So how did you get involved with Vertcoin, and what is really your main role over there?
So my main role is I'm kind of leading the marketing team. We have about 10 people on the marketing team. All of us are volunteers, just like our development team. I'm kind of leading and spearheading the organization and kind of doing a lot of project management. And I'm also heading up our new Vertcoin Talk, which is we're streaming on the Vertcoin YouTube channel and just trying to get more market share out there as far as passing that information along to users. I got into Vertcoin, actually, the interview that you guys were going to do with James Lovejoy back in the day. I was a big fan of your YouTube channel when I first got into crypto back in July of last year. Okay. So when BTC really dipped down to 3,000, I got in right there. I got really lucky and rode that up. But I started getting into crypto because a friend of mine had a mining rig, and I had learned about crypto, or I'd heard about it back in like 2011. And I was like, that's a fad. You know, I thought it was literally World of Warcraft money. I was like, there's no way this is going to go anywhere. And when he dove more into the mining aspect of it and really the philosophies behind crypto, that's when I started to take it seriously.
Yep, that's kind of a similar. I got in a little earlier than that, but it's funny that you said World of Warcraft money because it was a buddy. I used to play World of Warcraft. I used to do a lot of gaming with League of Legends and stuff. And one of my buddies that was on World of Warcraft brought it up to my attention. I was like, that just sounds like the gold we're mining every day in the game. Nah, I'm good. And little did I know what happened. Granted, I still got into the ecosystem and things are going well, but it could have been so much better. Now, I know in the interview I did do with James Lovejoy, obviously we did a ton of in-depth analysis on Vertcoin, but if you just wanted to give your quick 30 to 60-second overview of what Vertcoin is for those who did not see that interview, that would be great.
Sure. So Vertcoin was forked from Litecoin back in 2014. Vertcoin, it still runs the exact same blockchain and that Litecoin and BTC. So we are our own little separate fork. Our focus is on decentralization and making sure that we don't have consolidation of mining power to a single user or a single few users, to where they could basically take over the chain. And because at the end of the day, that decentralization and consensus spread out amongst everybody, that's kind of our focus, and making sure everybody can get access to mining and get involved in securing the network.
Yep, trying to avoid that 51% attack that hasn't really happened, but is definitely is a possibility with all the ASICs going around. We'll talk about ASICs here and the new ASIC here in a little bit as well. So I know the developers and the marketing team are all volunteers over on Vertcoin. How does that really work? What are the logistics behind that? How do you guys stay happy?
So really it's passion. It's passion for the philosophy behind Vertcoin and really keeping that decentralization and wanting everybody to have a chance. So that a lot of people look at projects and they see, they have to raise an ICO. They got to raise millions of dollars in order to keep people happy and to keep people working on the project. When you're passionate about something, you will donate your time to it. Look at people who are coaches for local little leagues and things of that nature. This is our version of that. So our development team is about 8 or so people. James is the lead developer. He's been in with Vertcoin since about 2014, right after it had launched and forked from Litecoin. As far as the logistics, we have people all around the world. So we have, I would say about half of the developers are here in the United States. We have Gert, who is in the Netherlands. We have people in Japan, Korea. And all of them contribute to individual projects. So one of the big things that we have coming up is kind of our AMD miner. I know a lot of people have been waiting on that. We have one developer who that's his focus. That is his core thing. And then all of the other developers will help out. And, if he runs into an issue or something like that, or if he's trying to get, he's trying to figure out what to do with a particular problem or the direction they want to go as a team, they all work in cohesion with each other to make sure that that project gets done and it gets done right. So, a lot of people have complained it's taken a while. since we raised the funds for that AMD miner. But our philosophy is we would rather give you a product that is 100% done and proven and is good quality than to rush something out and then for people to find bugs. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with people who are, they're mining cryptocurrencies, which has a monetary value to it. They cost electricity to mine. You don't want to mess with people's stuff. Like, you want to give them a solid product. Yeah. So our developers, they work as a group, and then our marketing team, this were people that were kind of doers. They got invited in when we established this marketing team at the beginning of the year. I got invited in because I took an interview that James Lovejoy did, and I edited it down to get rid of commercials and things of that nature that were happening on the radio program. And that got the developer who was trying to head up this initiative interested in me and asked me to join. And from there, we just continued to bring in people who are doers and who want to contribute to the project. Perfect.
And going back to you guys always wanting to create a good project, I did give you guys a shout out a while back because I do mine with NVIDIAs, and you guys had the OneClick Miner. And I think I said something on Twitter like, this is so easy, my grandma could even figure it out. Yeah. So literally, you just download it, you put in your wallet address, you search around you, you pick whatever has the lowest ping, you hit run, and you're done. You know, that was super simple compared to even what a lot of the mining algorithms are for these coins right now and how to really get them started. So I was always been impressed with that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of a taste as to where we're going with things like Litbox, with things like the Lightning wallet that we're developing, even the AMD miner. Next miner, which is the code name for it, that while it's an AMD miner, it's going to be so much more, because at the end of the day, we treat and look at crypto kind of like a credit card system. Nobody knows how Visa works. They just know that it's simple to operate. They put their card in, transaction happens, bam, go. That's what we're trying to build, but with cryptocurrency, and making it so that you can be your own bank and you don't have to rely on third parties in order to facilitate.
For mass adoption to come in space, it's not so much everybody needs to know what blockchain is, how smart contracts work. It's really just the GUI, or the general user interface, needs to be easy. If something is easy, more people will use it. If it's convenient, cheaper, faster, that's how you continue to grow this ecosystem.
Exactly.
So I see this hashtag fair mining campaign all over Twitter. What exactly does that mean? What coins or projects are involved in that? Can you give a little explanation on that?
Sure. So fair mining is a campaign that we launched back when the rumor of the Ethereum ASIC was coming out. And as anybody knows who's followed Vertcoin, we are staunchly against not necessarily ASICs, because there may be a time, 5-10 years from now, where ASICs are produced by multiple companies, readily available. They're not this, if you have the $2,000 to $3,000, you can get it, and then you completely cancel out people who just want to mine on their gaming PC. Mm-hmm. So we're more anti-Bitmain in a sense, because right now they are a monopoly, and the way that they use ASICs, we are completely against, because it's a centralization tool. So the fair mining campaign was to bring awareness, and it was to kind of meld with a Medium article that we posted going into in depth into Bitmain, ASICs, and kind of how they're used right now. And really the company is duping people. Will buy, like just announced today was that Equihash miner.
I was just going to bring that up, so go with it.
Yeah, so that just got released today. It's coming out in about a month and a half. This is for Equihash-based cryptocurrencies, and I can guarantee you Bitmain has already been mining on those networks with those ASICs, and so by doing that, the difficulty goes up. That means everybody who has a GPU who's mining.
Myself, I mine NVIDIA, and Equihash is usually the most profitable for NVIDIA cards, so that's why I even talked about that a little bit on the live show we did as well. Just, I'm kind of hanging by the thread what's going to happen here, and kind of got to make my own moves as well here in the future.
Yeah, and when those ASICs come on the network, difficulty goes up. That's, that much less of the currency is split out amongst people who are on GPUs, because they can't compete with these these specifically made products. All they do is mine Equihash. If the Equihash algorithm changes, that becomes a paperweight. Mm-hmm. And one of the benefits to being a project like ours, which is very anti ASIC and centralization, is we focus on GPUs. We want GPUs to be the tool to secure the network, because one, everybody has one. Now, you may have an older GPU, which is not as profitable as, say, a 1080 or 1070 right now, the current gen, graphics cards, but you can still use it to mine whenever you're not playing games or whenever you're not using the computer. It's not where you have to go and dump $2,000 on a specific piece of hardware that can do nothing else except for mine a cryptocurrency. And you better hope and pray that that cryptocurrency doesn't fork, doesn't change the algorithm, that Bitmain doesn't use, what was it? I think it was bleed or whatever the back door was to come in and turn off your ASIC. You're putting a lot of trust into a third party, which is Bitmain, that they're going to not do anything nefarious.
Yep.
I would rather live under the philosophy of don't give that tool to a single individual or a single entity. Don't even give them the option to be nefarious. And that's kind of what we're doing with that fair mining campaign. It was, one, raise awareness. Two, get these other coins that tout their ASIC resistant to actually back it up. Because, Ethereum, if you look in the white paper, it is supposed to be ASIC resistant. And now you have Vitalik saying, I'm not going to do anything. And it's like, at what point we were trying to force people to back up their words, essentially. And we'll see with the Equihash, will these projects actually fork? Because it takes work. It takes organization. It takes the majority of your miners to actually go along with that. It takes a lot of work in order to do this fork. And we've done it before. We're experienced it. We are ready to go. If for some reason Bitmain were to make a layer 2 ASIC, we're ready to go with other algorithms.
Are there any other projects who have already reached out to you and said they're part of the fair mining campaign? I know Digibyte kind of reached out, and they're like halfway in, halfway out, because they do the 5 algos where they do allow ASICs, but they max them at 20%, 20% for SHA-256 and 20% for whatever the other ASIC script is. I can't think of it off the top of my head. So they're kind of doing it, but they're approaching it a different way.
GRS reached out, Grosselcoin. They retweeted that they were really the only ones who kind of reached out directly to us. Was like, yeah, we're in. I know Digibyte did reach out to us. They want to explore using our algorithm to kind of replace some of those algorithms in that 5 algorithm chain that have ASICs on them, because they don't want to have an unfair advantage. Mm-hmm. With the 5 split, they want to give people the options and the variety to be able to mine Digibyte. But they understand that an ASIC comes on the network. It's not fair. It's not a fair comparison to GPU miners.
I know the new one for Equihash. I think I did the math, and it's like 20 NVIDIA 1080s for $2,000. Essentially, is what you're getting in equivalent souls per second, which is crazy.
Yeah, at 300 watts. Yeah, so now your power consumption that's going. Yeah. And you have people who have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on these GPU mining rigs that, they're looking at, let me see what I can get, in the year, 2 years, they could possibly resell the GPUs, and they don't have to, and this is the thing, you resell an ASIC, it can only go to another miner. Yeah. You can resell GPUs to a gamer, to somebody, like when my little girl turns 5, we're going to build a gaming machine for her. I'm going to teach her how to build a computer. Those cards can be reused down the road because they're multifunction. ASICs, all it does is mine crypto, and you better hope that the algorithm doesn't change. Otherwise, you got a really expensive paperweight.
Yep. So we'll switch directions here a little bit. We have a bunch of people asking our opinions on whether Ethereum is going to be a security. Some of these other coins are going to be a security. Do you think Vertcoin is going to be considered a security, or do you think it's going to be labeled like Bitcoin currently is by the government and be treated as a commodity?
I can't guarantee it, but I can almost guarantee it will be a commodity, because we check a lot of boxes that most coins don't. There was no ICO. There was no pre-mine. There was no airdrop. Just like Bitcoin, and this is one of the reasons why we have our philosophy, and we really like the way Satoshi really set up Bitcoin from the get-go, is, there's no one person who received a bunch of free Vertcoin at the beginning. Everybody had to earn it the exact same way as everybody else. Even if you're a developer, if you're on the marketing team, you don't get anything special just because you're involved in the project. So when dealing with the SEC, and we do have some, not necessarily advantages, but with 2 of our developers working at MIT in the Digital Coin Initiative, the SEC is in the Digital Coin Initiative, trying to get an understanding of what crypto is and kind of how to walk down that space. So we at Vertcoin, we're doing everything in our power to take the conversations that have been had with representatives from the SEC and make sure that we do not fall into anything that would be considered a security. And then when you're looking at coins to invest in and things of that nature, that is some stuff that you really have to take into consideration. Did they have an ICO? Did they have an airdrop? Did they have a pre-mine? Those are all checkboxes that could label you a security, because you're basically investing into not necessarily a company, but the people who got those initial free coins. That's what you're investing in to see if it's going to increase in value. And that's where Ethereum looks like it may be classified as a security. As a result, any token that is on the Ethereum network will be lumped in with Ethereum. Yep. So those are all things that everybody has to be careful of and make sure that, the project that you're looking at is also looking at those things too.
Yeah. In my opinion, I don't know for sure. Obviously, Ethereum definitely could be labeled as a security under the definition. I think they might get the kind of the nod overlook since they are so high up in the market cap and since they are such a big player in this ecosystem. I know they're trying to do regulation in the space, but on the same time, I know a lot of the government officials are trying to not tamper out the technology here. So I think maybe Ethereum gets a nod, but they're going to be like, oh, all ERC20 tokens are securities though. And that's kind of their way of doing justice there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. Now, you kind of did talk about how James Lovejoy and one of the other lead developers are part of the MIT Digital Currency Initiative. Obviously, it's a positive pertaining to the SEC. Are there any other positives or negatives with them being part of the MIT group over there?
Sure. So Gert Jep is he's in the Netherlands. He recently just got hired on at DCI as a part-time employee. He's still working. He still lives in the Netherlands, but he is contributing to LIT, which is MIT's version of the Lightning Network. And we can go into more about the different types of Lightning Network. But they are, they're the co-author of the Lightning Network white paper is heading up the digital currency initiative there. So when it comes to the Lightning Network, we're working day in and day out with the guy who invented it. And we're trying to use our talents in software development and product development with things like the Lit Box, the Lit Wallet, these are solutions that solve the Lightning Network problem of you have to be online 24/7. Mm-hmm. If you're offline for 48 hours, then your channel can be open to somebody just taking your coins. So Gert is the one who is developing the Litbox software. So with him coming into DCI, he's able to get a little bit more hands-on experience with the people who are building the Lightning Network, and being able to have that 20 hours a week. That really adds up over time with just sharing knowledge and making sure that the products that we're developing at Vertcoin are going to line up perfectly with the Lit Network.
That's awesome. So I guess we'll jump right into it. And I know there's LND Network, which is the Lightning Network daemon. And then there's what you guys are using, I believe, is LIT Network, which is the Lightweight Lightning Network. Now, until really digging into it, until after talking to you, I didn't know there was even a difference or that there was 2 layers to Lightning. Can you kind of explain what the difference is between those and how yours, in your opinion, is better and more feasible for mass adoption?
Yeah, so there's multiple Lightning networks. We have Blockstream, who's also working on a Lightning Network implementation. And remember, Lightning Network is a second layer solution that sits on top of the blockchain. So you have LND, MIT DCI, which is Lit. These different, solutions, they offer, I know LND has the backing of Charlie Lee, who is the creator of Litecoin, Jack Dorsey, that's Square, and Twitter. Now, you can only imagine why Square is interested. So you could see the possibility of Square being using the LND product down the road. The one problem with LND is that it's only Bitcoin. So you don't have the multi-coin swaps like Lit. Lit is more of a multi-coin Lightning Network, and also LND, they're looking to monetize the Lightning Network in some way, form, or fashion. That's why you have investors in it. Obviously, they're trying to get a return on their investment. Where Lit is a MIT project that is all funded by grants. There's no for-profit initiative to it. We're trying to keep it just like with Bitcoin. any transactions on the Bitcoin network doesn't go to the developers. It goes to the miners who support the network. So they're kind of taking the same approach, as they don't want to monetize the system. They want to be able to provide a solution that allows for retailers to have point of sale. And that's what Lit is focusing on, is making sure that when you go into we have to build the system that allows you to go into a retailer and pay with crypto, because right now that doesn't exist. And without stuff like the Lit box, the Lit wallet, those multi-coin wallets, that's going to basically not replace atomic swaps, but it allows atomic swaps to happen between all SegWit coins that are on the Lit network. That is what Lit is focusing on, is making sure you can do all of that.
So you said it's a multi-coin Lightning network. What coins are going to be part of that Lightning network? Can other coins just get on the network themselves, or do you guys have to develop them in?
So one thing to keep in mind is Lit, from the Lightning Network standpoint, is separate from Vertcoin. So while we do have 2 developers that are working at the DCI, Lit is their project. Now we're using that relationship to be able to build applications and products on top of the Lit network to facilitate that point of sale. The multi-coin swap is going to be any SegWit-enabled coin. So SegWit allows you to add the Lit network, and like Lightning Network, they could have LND Lightning, and they could also have Lit Lightning. So it's not like you can only have one or the other. The only downside, at least right now with LND, and this was really all of the news last month, is they released their beta network, but it's only for Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So they have to create a completely separate network for Litecoin. They have to any other coin, they have to do a completely separate network. And right now, they don't talk to one another, and they can't interchange with each other. Now that may change down the road, but right now we're not aware of them developing that. That's not their focus, really. Our focus is making sure that anybody with SegWit, they can swap those coins out over the Lightning Network, no problem. And we're developing the Lit wallet that kind of ties in with the Lit box. So the Lit box is what, if you read the Lightning Network white paper, there's a thing in there called watchtowers, and this is kind of what the Lit box is. It's you would sit it next to your router, and it's on 24/7. You never have to worry about it. It just sits there, and you use the Lit wallet to interact with that. And the Lit box it holds open your channels, so that if for some reason, because if you're trying to pay with a mobile device, you go in between cell towers, you'll lose internet connection, and that can open you up to risk. So that's one of the downsides to the Lightning Network, that really people who are touting the Lightning Network, they don't want to talk about that. It's a limitation. We're trying to fix that limitation.
Fix it before it even comes to mass adoption.
Exactly.
I just want to hear some more of the technicals on Litbox and how they plan to use it. Make sure in the interview with James Lovejoy, he went in depth with that. I believe it was probably in the last 5 to 10 minutes of there, if you guys want to skip along and watch that as well. Now, you already kind of mentioned it, that the Litbox is underway. Your Lit wallet UX is nearing completion with both mobile and desktop wallets. Now, does that mean the Litbox is almost developed as well? Is that something that's going to be sold, the Litbox, by you guys or by MIT? How does that work? And also, say you have your Litbox hooked up and it's just plugged into your modem or sitting by your modem. What happens if that is stolen or lost? Maybe a tornado comes through or a hurricane or something. How does that stuff work? If you could explain that to the viewers, that'd be cool.
Yeah, sure. So Litbox, it is where our goal is to have a demo product available by the end of Q2, which is next month. James is actually going to be giving a presentation at a conference, and we're hoping to actually have a physical box along with the hardware and software. The software is nearing completion. We're waiting on a few other things to get finished with the Lit network before we can write just a few more lines of code to make sure that's all squared away. But we're already testing that inside of the development and marketing team. We have built our own boxes basically without the fancy outside, just making sure that it's functioning. As far as distribution, we are going to offer some special edition boxes that are going to be used to help fund the Vertcoin Foundation, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about a little bit later. But they're going to be really nice aluminum boxes, kind of like collector's edition stuff. But we're also going to have the CAD drawings so that you can 3D print your own box. And this is all going to be done with a Raspberry Pi. And if you want just the Vertcoin blockchain, you can use just a 512 meg SD card. The problem comes when you start to do multi-coin, because if you look at the actual size of the Bitcoin blockchain, now you're talking hard drives. It's going to get much bigger. And we're thinking also from a marketing standpoint and development, we don't want to produce a product that's going to be dead in a year. We want to make sure that if we do produce the lit box with a hard drive and stuff, we have enough capacity to be able to handle blockchains, multi-coins for 5+ years. So we have to anticipate kind of what that size is going to be. So we're going to offer a few different sizes. We're also going to offer a do-it-yourself because, when we were talking about adoption earlier, a lot of people that are in crypto, especially early, they're very big into computers, how they work, and things of that nature. But you want mass adoption. You want that if you want to go to 7-Eleven and pay with Vertcoin, the 7-Eleven clerk is not going to understand how to build a lit box.
You need to be able to have me go to Micro Center and pick it up off the shelf eventually. Is really what you're going to need.
Exactly. And we don't want to necessarily get in the business of product, mass producing products and things of that nature, but we may partner with some third parties to make sure that, to get that out on a mass scale. One of the downsides is because we are a donation driven project, we don't have millions of dollars just sitting around like a lot of these companies or a lot of these projects that did ICOs. So whenever we're looking at this stuff, we're trying to see what's actually feasible from a financial standpoint. But we're looking to make it, and this is part of Vertcoin Academy, which we had just talked about in our dev update this week. We're going to build PDFs. We're going to provide you the files to be able to build this yourself. And we're developing the software. So the software is open source by Vertcoin. And you can put that software on anything. You could even install the software on your computer. But with a lit box, the goal is to have it kind of next to your router, and you never are tempted to turn it off. Because with your computer, you can turn it off.
Down, or you need a Windows update or whatever.
Exactly. So with the idea of having your own separate device, it eliminates that temptation. So like I said, we're going to have a few different options. Your do-it-yourself option. We're going to have as cheap as possible plastic mold injected box in order to help contribute to mass adoption, because we don't want it to be very expensive at all. I know James was talking about a price point of around $30 to $50. Now, of course, that's going to be one that has an SD card slot. Now, when you start adding hard drives, of course, that's going to raise the price. But then we're also going to have like the special collector's edition one that's going to be all aluminum. It's going to look gorgeous. We've already started designing that stuff in-house, and it's going to be limited too.
So what happens if your lit box is damaged or stolen or whatever? Is it almost like a Ledger hardware where you can recover your channel using like a private key or something, or how does that work?
So with Litbox, your coins are not stored on the box itself. The coins are stored in Lit Wallet. So in the box, all it does is it acts like your watchtower. It's the always on, facilitating your Lightning Network channels. And so if that gets stolen, in theory, you go to your Lit Wallet and you just shut it off. You disable the connection between your Lit Wallet and the Lit box. Somebody had asked in one of our Vertcoin Talk broadcasts, what happens if your power goes out, your internet goes out, and it's out, you get a hurricane. I'm over here on the East Coast, we get hurricanes and stuff like that. If your power's out for 4 days, now your channels are down. Mm-hmm. So we prefer people to be their own bank. We want you to have responsibility over your own transactions and funds. You could theoretically have a virtual private server that you host the Litbox on, but now you're putting that in the hands of a third party, hoping that they don't do something nefarious. Something else that you could possibly do is have another Litbox at a trusted relative's house. So like for me, for example, I'll have one here in my house. Now I also have generators and things of that nature to make sure power is enabled and stuff. But if the WAN area network goes down, then there's only so much I can do. But I'll also have one at a cousin's house that lives in a different state, and I can have that redundancy. And we want to build it to where if one goes down, another one can kind of pick back up where that's at. But you don't want to. The last thing that you want to worry about is if somebody steals my Litbox, they're going to take my coins, which isn't the case.
Cool. I was just wanting to clear that up a little bit. I know some people are asking me that question as well. So let's get to a few of the negative things that have happened here with Vertcoin recently.
Yeah.
You probably already know one of the ones I'm going to ask you.
I'm sure. It made news.
Your Twitter got hacked.
Yes, it did.
I don't know if you're in charge of that or what, but what came out of that? Did it get fixed? How did it happen? Was it with, I know Twitter said that recently a lot of the passwords were available to the public. So that's not good. That's on Twitter's fault. Is that kind of how yours ended up getting hacked?
So we have two different theories. We do have a inside developer that may have had their LastPass compromised, which had the actual Twitter password inside of that system, which LastPass is just a password management system. That may have been a possibility. We also think it's kind of interesting, this coincidence of those passwords just came out. And just so everybody's aware, the passwords we use are the same length as your addresses. I mean, they're random characters, and so it's not like some simple password. So when that got hacked, I was actually at work and I had Twitter open, and I saw that we had posted a music video from SoundCloud. So the first thing I did is I got into our Discord and I was like, hey, what is this? I wasn't aware of this. And I figured out that, we didn't post that. Well, what I use the majority of the time is TweetDeck. So I'm not actually logged directly into the account. So I deleted it. And then all of a sudden, then the famous one that got pushed out was the free giveaway, and all the developers tried to log into the Twitter. They couldn't get in because they had already changed the password and such, but they did not remove TweetDeck access. So I was every time he would post it, I would delete it, and we kept going that. And I don't know if it was the hacker, but I had commented that we're working on it, and somebody responded to me very, very unkindly. Yeah. And I'm wondering if that was him, but eventually he figured out that I did have TweetDeck, and so he disabled that app, and then that's when the tweet stayed up. And we got it back about 4 a.m. the next day. So Twitter support, they took a little while, but they were able to get it back. So it was a little frustrating. It was a little chaotic, but luckily, I think there may have been one or two people that had sent some money to that Bitcoin address. I'm sorry that they did that. And we tried to communicate as soon as possible through our personal Twitters that it was actually a hack, and don't send your money to that. We never are going to do a giveaway or anything like that that isn't associated with something like where we did St. Patrick's Day, where we had people submitting photos. Yeah, and even then it's going to be a Vertcoin. It's not going to be VTC.
So what to take away from it is, guys, I would say 99 out of 100 of these projects aren't going to give you something for free. It's either going to be some kind of partnership announcement with an airdrop, or they're going to do what you did with St. Patrick's Day, where it's like, hey, provide a picture or do a video for us, and you have a chance at a giveaway. Don't send somebody money hoping to get more money back. That doesn't happen. I see that all the time on Facebook as well. So be safe out there, guys. Also, another negative, or I don't know if it's a negative. I guess you'll let me know. So I know you guys received over 1,000 Vertcoin in April as donations. That's great. You guys are funded by donations, and you need the donations to continue to thrive and succeed in the future. I also did note on your transparency statement that almost all of those were sent to the Vertcoin Foundation lawyer fees.
Yes.
What does that mean, or can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so like I was talking about earlier, we are in the process of setting up the Vertcoin Foundation. Right now, all of the assets and projects and things of that nature under the Vertcoin umbrella are owned by single developers. James, owns the majority of it, but we want to get that. We want a legal entity in order to have a trademark of the logo, in order to have all of the stuff under one legal umbrella. And our foundation is going to be a nonprofit. So this will allow us to apply for grants for people to donate towards us, and it's going to be 501c3. So you'll be able to deduct that from your taxes and things of that nature. So we are in the process with lawyers and accountants and things of that nature, getting that built. We've been doing that since the beginning of the year. So now we're starting to see the payments for those to come out and we take that out of the dev fund. And if you go to our website under the donations tab, we have a few different funds there. And so you have the dev fund, the marketing fund, and things of that nature. So those funds and you can look at the address and you can see where money has been sent, if we spent any money. And so we try to be as transparent as possible, because we're expecting, we're hoping that the community trusts us as much as we trust them to be able to donate to us, to be able to facilitate, because it takes money to run servers. It takes money to be able to build these foundations and stuff like that. And that's where that money went. It was to pay the lawyers to get all of that started and drafted to get that set up.
Well, that's fair enough. That's not near as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. So, what is really Vertcoin's plan to grab a larger market share and increase user adoption? Do you guys have any exchange listings soon, maybe in the works? Partnerships, payment gateways? I know you guys are doing the Litcoin, but how does that add, if any, a value proposition for Vertcoin itself? I know it's a great project for cryptos and SegWit cryptos, but is it going to add to Vertcoin's value propositions, or what do you got going there?
So we have our goal at the beginning of the year was to get on 10 more exchanges. And people know that we raised over 10,000 Vertcoin to get for an exchange listing fund. That was an initiative started by our community because they really wanted to get on some exchanges. And as anybody knows, exchanges, they want money when it comes to listing. Exactly. And because our coins are donated, we are very, very, I guess, not necessarily, wary, but we want to make sure the return on investment, any money that we spend, is very well worth it. We're not just trying to blow money. So if you look at our exchange fund right now, not a dime has been spent, but we've been added, I think, to 4 or 5 different exchanges so far this year. So we're in constant contact. Now, of course, with NDAs and stuff like that, I can't talk about if we have anything pending, but do keep an eye on that exchange listing fund, and you can look at the address. If you see nothing's been spent yet, but we are currently in talks with a lot of different exchanges, but I can't go into detail as to if any are pending or anything coming up anytime soon. As far as value proposition, our goal is, I guess, you got to think when we talk about Litbox, the point of sale and things of that nature, Vertcoin obviously will be one of the first, if not the first coin on those products. Our name is going to be associated with those. When we go to a retailer and we're saying, okay, do you want to accept crypto? Right now you're paying 3% on a credit card. With crypto, you're going to pay 1 cent per transaction. The name Vertcoin is associated with that because we're providing the product that facilitates that makes that easy. It's kind of like Xerox and copying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is our goal, is to have Vertcoin associated with crypto and the transaction of day-to-day point of sale to be associated with it directly. We have a few projects that are working, the AMD miner, obviously that's going to bring in more mining from the AMD side. And our commitment with, interchanging with the DCI up there at MIT, all of that information is getting spread to our team, plus everything we find is going back to their team. So that it's not necessarily a partnership, because I know a lot of people like to tout partnerships and things of that nature, but we are working hand in hand, and we actually have developers who are there. Those are the main things that we can talk about right now, that is kind of adding value. I know a lot of people we've been moving sideways, and we as a project, we don't like to talk about price because price does not stop us from doing what we're doing. We're thinking 5 years down the road. We're thinking long term. And when you're looking at price and things of that nature, I guess one of the big things we're doing is we're making sure we're not a security. We're making sure whenever regulations come in, we're on the right side of history when it comes to that.
Perfect. I guess what I got from that, guys, is, hey, take a look at their exchange listing fund and keep an eye on that address. Maybe then you can get a little early insight. I know a lot of people do care about the price. I know a lot of these projects don't mention it. I've talked to Digibyte, Zen, etc. Nobody wants to worry about the price. They're focused on working, developing, creating real-world applications, which is what is needed for the longevity of these cryptos. But definitely there's a little insight for you guys to take away. Are there any last thoughts you had, any topics we missed, or anything that really excites you about the future of Vertcoin, maybe for the year of 2018?
So for 2008, I guess I would say make sure to pay attention to our development updates we put out every month. We're also doing a podcast essentially on our YouTube channel. We're trying to do that every other week, talking about news and things that are upcoming. We have a long list of goals that we want to hit for 2018, and just watch us keep checking those off. We're really focused on getting that point of sale, man, because crypto is right now. You're basically speculating on the usefulness of a project and how it's going to contribute to the crypto becoming the monetary policy of the world.
That's what I always say, especially in this, very competitive public sector of cryptocurrencies. If you break that down, it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Vertcoin, Digibyte. They're public. They don't have transparency features. They don't really have outside projects, although you guys do have Litbox. The price is based on user adoption and how utilized your network really is. So the fact that you guys are working towards that utilization, really should speak volumes on what your guys' future is and what the prospective price of this coin could be. I know for a lot of speculators and investors out there, that's what they're looking at. But also the fact that you are doing the lit box means that they will actually be able to spend that currency as a customer, hopefully in some stores or online stores here in the future.
And with us being with the lit wallet being a multi-coin wallet where you can swap Bitcoin and Vertcoin like that, Litecoin and Vertcoin, or Litecoin and Bitcoin, any SegWit enabled coin, that spreads it out even more. That can almost become kind of like a decentralized exchange, because you can do that without having to worry about, I got to get on Bittrex, or I got to do this in order to exchange my coins. But you can also, right there at the point of sale, if this shop only takes Litecoin or only takes Vertcoin, and all you have is Bitcoin, boom, right there you can go pay for it.
Swap that's what make the purchase.
Exactly. And that's kind of our goal. We want you to be able to buy stuff, get paid in cryptocurrency, and then be able to actually go buy services and goods. So we also, something else that we have is Merchant Mondays on our subreddit. We list out companies that actually accept Vertcoin as a payment, because it's great to be able to buy. It's great to be able to hold as a store of value, but you also want to be able to use it. You want it to have a functionality. So we're contributing in all spaces like that.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on here. I really appreciate it. Like I said, guys, he is the Vertcoin marketing team. He's pretty much the lead guy, I would say. Yeah. I don't really know the hierarchy there. We wanted to take a little different angle with this follow-up, as you can tell from the questions I asked him. If you wanted to see more of an in-depth technical kind of overview of Vertcoin, like I said, we did have an interview with the lead developer, James Lovejoy, so check that out. Don't forget to smash that like button, share button, and subscribe button. And I will see you guys soon.